Test, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, we're back.
I think we have audio. Awesome.
Sweet. All right, let's get it going. First of all, I got 3 goats with me right here.
Yeah. Well, we got Sybil Pseudoregalia, we have Gibby, and myself. I'm Jaxler. Hi. I also run this game.
Yeah, I don't got much else to say right now, but let's get it going. We're gonna start from the new file here. Give a countdown from 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Good luck. You got this.
Thank you. All right, this game came out last year. Last year, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Sweet. It feels like an eternity. This game is really awesome. So it's a 3D Metroidvania, very retro style graphics. Right now we have no real abilities movement-wise. We can jump, we can slide, and we can do like slide steps and backflips. We can mantle like that, real quick, really snappy while lit. We're gonna grab the first thing here, the sword, called the Dreambreaker. Okay.
It's more of a staff, if you ask me, but...
Well, yeah, it's fair. You're going to see a lot of 2-hit combos with this weapon because the 3rd hit sends us into a spiral that has like a second of end leg, and we can't really do anything. So it's if you have to do more than 3 hits, we do in groups of 2. So you see that a lot throughout the run. Going to build some meter there. I'll talk about that more later. But for right now, we're going to make our way for the first small skip. Going to be a really integral piece of movement tech throughout this run called the gainer, I guess. The forwards backflip here, if you want to take over, Jaxler.
Yeah, so what Killing Pepsi is going to be doing is while running forward, hold backwards to go into a skid animation. If you jump during that, that's what triggers your backflip. But if you hit forward immediately after that, that allows you to take that backflip and redirect it forwards. And so that gives you a little more height than your standard jump. So we use it for a little bit of a platforming skip there. But more importantly, it's going to be the first step in a very critical movement tech for the run known as slide ultras or slide ultra hops. So what Killing Pepsi is doing right now is breaking this wall because we're going to come flying through this hallway again in just a moment because we're going to get slide. And slide is almost inarguably one of the most broken upgrades in the entire game, and you get it right off the bat. So the cool thing about slide in this game is that you can jump, cancel, slide to end the slide early. And so you can use that, you know, if you figure it out kind of casually, you can kind of use that to chain slides together a lot faster. But if you do that with a lot, you get a lot of speed. And so what you can end up doing is stuff like that, a knee slide and a slide ultra. So essentially the way it works is that similar to the gainer, you put yourself into a skid animation. And depending on how much speed you have going into that skid animation will impact the size of your backflip. And the highest ones give you that yellow after image, and we call those slide ultras. So in order to do that, Killing Pepsi is essentially doing a dash, jump canceling it, holding backwards, jumping again very quickly, and then redirecting forwards to do the gainer. And that allows you to get very, very large amounts of height quickly. And it's going to be kind of like the foundation of the movement tech here. Now, there's a couple of other things to mention as well. This is the 100% category, meaning that we need to get all of the heart pieces, all of the optional green orb upgrades, as well as every Metroidvania upgrade. So Killing Pepsi is making a detour. We're going backwards through Underbelly, which is normally not intended. You're supposed to go fight the mini-boss Strong Eyes. But what we can do is make use of this hidden shortcut in order to get straight to Ascendant Light right away, which is going to be really useful later on. And this is also just like a really out-of-the-way area, so we get to get this out of the way so we don't have to deal with it later. So the Ascendant Light, if you haven't seen it before, is kind of like the Hollow Knight Pogo. If you hit enemies while mid-air, like that, then you can pogo off of them. And so what Killing Pepsi is actually doing here is intentionally pogoing off the enemies mid-air to be able to farm hits really quickly. We want to get level 3 on that meter as quickly as possible. And the reason for that is due to an upgrade called Indignation that will get powered up a bit later on. So something Killing Pepsi did there too. A lot of times if you jump off of a platform, you'll keep some of the momentum of the boost you were getting from the platform. Oh, that's tragic. I hate when that happens. But essentially in this game, you can bunny hop in order to preserve your speed as well. And so once we get speed with something like a slide or like slide cancels or some of the other pieces of movement tech we have, you can bunny hop like right here and use that to carry it around corners and do some nonsense. Right there, you just saw something called a platform slide cancel. If you interrupt the end of your slide by sliding off of a platform, you maintain a lot of the initial startup speed. In this game, your speed is fastest at the start of the slide, and then as the slide goes on, you kind of lose out on speed until it eventually stops.
I'm going to try something here.
We're looking for a slide ultra right here, which hopefully will let us go to the key a bit faster here. Oh, you're going for the knee slide? Okay.
Yeah, if I can get it. It's a cool chain stride. I might.
There it is, nice. So a knee slide is, I want to say it's frame perfect. It's really close. Essentially what we're doing is we're doing 2 jump cancel slides back to back in very quick succession. And this kind of messes with the game's animation state machine, where it puts Sybil into what I call the knee slide animation, which can immediately be jump canceled out of. And if you do that, you are able to take your initial slide dash speed and convert it into aerial speed immediately, which allows you to get basically max top speed instantly. Sometimes in randomizers, it's actually slower to get the upgraded slide and then slide jump, because it removes your ability to do stuff like knee slides. It's kind of funny that way.
They're really powerful, yeah.
Yeah, so we did a little bit of a sequence break to get that silver key earlier. You kind of intended to, at least by this point, probably have wall kicks and use wall kicks to get up there. Or Sunsetter. I think Sunsetter is probably expected to be had at this point as well. But what Killing Pepsi is going to do is go in there to grab helical power and then do a quick death warp just to cut a little bit of the backtracking. Normally, the air kicks are like a 3-piece upgrade that you get in Listless Library, and we will get those later. But there's this hidden one that's like a 4th extra air kick that you unlock with a green orb. So as long as you get the 4th air kick, you unlock the ability to do 1 air kick, which allows you to basically have a second jump midair. And so that's what you're seeing Killing Pepsi do a lot here, is use that jump midair to avoid having to bunny hop as much. There is some downside. That's a real, okay, I should probably start doing that. So there is some downside to using air kicks in certain spots, because if you ever so slightly drift the angle of your air kick, you will lose some speed. But sometimes that's actually what you want to. So we're going to be using slide ultras in order to get to what we call the house heart piece here. There are 16 total heart pieces in the game. You only need 15 to max out your health, but there's like a 16th one for some reason. It's really funny. And yeah, so we're going to be seeing knee sliding here for the most of early game. There's kind of 2 major schools of thought as far as routes go. There is early solar wind and late solar wind, and so I don't think we have a really solid recorded run yet of late solar wind, because it's very difficult. But we're going to be seeing early solar wind. So the first thing we're going to be doing is sequence breaking to get Cling Gem, because combined with slide and Cling Gem, we can pretty much get anywhere we want to in the game. But we are a few upgrades short of what we're expected to have. We're expected to have Sunsetter, at least 3 air kicks in order to get through here. But because we can do slide ultras, we are able to actually use that to do what we call the tower ascent, which is really, really cool movement. And I'm just going to shut up. That's a thing you can... Why didn't I think of that? That's so sick.
Oh my
Good save. Nice, nice, nice.
Oh my god. I swear to God. Okay.
Ah, dang it. So something that Killing Pepsi was doing there to actually save it was a wall kick cancel. So if you do an air kick, it'll usually bounce you off the wall. But if you do an attack, it'll cancel the part that will cause you to bounce off. Because sometimes you want the jump, but not the wall kick or the wall bounce, right? All right, so we got up there just fine. Are we going to see this? Please tell me you hit this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go. That's possible to do without that other air kick, but it sucks. And
I've never done it.
Yeah, I think Outlier does it in world record for any percent, so something we should mention as well, this is 100% out of bounds, specifically on full gold patch. There's 2 major patches that we consider when we're speedrunning. There is the initial general release patch, which is called full gold, and the map update patch, which added a bunch of extra collectible costumes via time trial collectibles, as well as a map to go pick up. And so the big reason why there's still a pretty big community for this older patch is that they actually nerfed the amount of height that you get off of slide ultras until you get solar wind. And they also patched a couple of other things that we'll see a bit later. This is a really cool thing that we're going to see here. We're going to see what are called wall cling regrabs in order to get up to Cheese Bell's empathy pickup way earlier. And we do a slide ultra right into the tower right here, and then slide cancel to make our way to the small key. The old setup we used to do was actually do a slide ultra from the smaller tower to the higher tower, kind of before we realized how broken wall cling regrabs were, but we'll explain those regrabs a bit more later.
Come on.
We're going to grab a...
almost
got it. Yeah, so you can collect that key in one go, but it's really tricky. Speed control is one of the hardest things, because you think, oh, it's a speed run, so I want to go as fast as possible. Sometimes you actually want to control your maximum speed in order to make sure that you land where you want to go. That's one of the most important things that separates a new runner from a high-level runner of Pseudoregalia, is understanding speed control. And so we get solar wind now, which means we don't have to knee slide anymore. But it also means we're going to need a little bit more room if we want to set up tricks like ultras. But it also is going to enable another glitch that we're going to see later a lot more once we get our full suite of air kicks and listless library, which we'll be going and getting sooner rather than later. But we're going to be heading into center of Castle Sansa proper now, grabbing a small key along the way with an ultra, nicely done. We got like 2 small keys. We got one from Empty Bailey earlier when we went in that secret passage, and one right there. There's one unlock that we're gonna grab right here called Professionalism. This is the only of the time trial costumes that ended up being in base game. We're gonna equip it for swag because we are in business mode here in 100% full gold. But more importantly, we picked up Indignation along the way, and that's a big reason why Killing Pepsi wanted to have level 3 on the way up here, because Indignation buffs your combat abilities depending on how much meter you have. So at level 3 meter, it actually doubles your damage, and that also applies to breakables like walls. So you want to have level 3 as early as possible and make sure you don't use it to spend heals so that you have maximum damage most of the time. So we're going to grab a bunch of stuff here. We're going to use that other small key that we grabbed in Empty Balia in order to go ahead and grab this. We're going to do an ultra right here, and then we're going to do something really cool called a moon kick. We'll explain that a bit later once we get towards like theater, because it'll become a lot more prominent. We're going to do a really sick ultra to kind of skip this puzzle. This this game was a game jam build, and this room actually was the room that taught you how to use wall kicks in like the game jam version, but they repurposed it for a heart piece, which I think is really cool because it was honestly kind of a tough section the first time that I played it. But we're gonna see something really cool here. We're gonna see a really big ultra. You need maximum ultra speed to get up there, and then he's actually gonna redirect that ultra to the side to get him up to that thing right here. And then this glass right here also breaks quicker when you have level 3 Indignation. So that gives us Sungreaves, that gives us all 4 of our wall kicks. And then right here, we're gonna see the first of our wall cling clips, hopefully. Killing Pepsi is going to jump and then sort of cling away from this table at a specific camera angle and timing. And if we do this right, it will cling us on the inside of the table, clipping us out of bounds, which death warps us to the checkpoint that we kind of saved invisibly at the start of library. That skips the entire tutorial section for like learning how to use the Sungreaves. I want to say it saves like 30 to 40 seconds. It's pretty significant.
It's really good, yeah.
Yeah. And so now that we have those, we have a lot of good tools at our disposal. So right now we're going to go ahead and grab a quick heart piece with the wall cling. The cling gem that we got allows us to wall run, which just rules. If you need another excuse to play this game, it's the fact that it has a wall run mechanic that's really good. More specifically, we have, so in terms of what resources we have midair, since we're backtracking right now, we have 4 aerial wall kicks. Now, to be clear, you can only really air kick again after you get a wall bounce, but we have 4 of those at our disposal for height. We have the ability to slide ultra, and you can wall cling up to 6 times at the start of a wall cling animation before the game just doesn't allow you to wall cling anymore, so you can't do it infinitely. All right, so right there you just saw something called moon kicks. So when you do a slide jump, you have a brief period of moon gravity, essentially. And if you do the jump, like the slide jump, and then immediately do air kicks into the wall, you manage to like prolong the anti-grav effect and get a lot more height as a result. So it basically gives you anti-grav on all of your air kicks if you do them quickly enough. And so Killing Pepsi used that there to get like a lot of height really quickly. And that's one of the benefits to playing the early Solar Wind route, is you can't do that unless you have slide jump. And so this is probably the one small key that some of y'all are just discovering existed for the first time. I did not discover that on my first playthrough, and I'm like, why am I a key short? I was like, oh, I guess I soft locked or something like that. No, it's just hidden like one of the most well-hidden spots in the entire game. And so we're going to grab that heart piece right there, and then we're going to make our way out of here with some wall kicks. Generally, using our aerial resources like wall kicks and wall clings into corners kind of allows us to hold still. Usually when you wall kick, it kind of sends you out like at an angle away from the wall to try to prevent you from cheesing it. But us Pseudoregalia runners, we are cheese masters, so that is of no concern to us. We're going to be backtracking our way through here. This is kind of like the mid-game gauntlet, I would call it, for this route specifically, because we're going to go do a quick revisit into that entrance into Underbelly, and then we're going to go make our way into theater, which is like the hardest part of like every Pseudoregalia speedrun. But we're going to go do one of my favorite strats, which is the out-of-bounds martial prowess route. So the first thing that Killing Pepsi is going to do is veer off to the right here in order to do a cling clip into this wall. And then eventually Sybil will slide through. And something that we can actually do, we're not going to do it just because of stream tech reasons, but there was a glitch discovered called T-Tech that allows you to phase through like partially solid objects, like walls from out of bounds to inbounds. And so we can use that there and do a bunch of very precise slide jumps in order to land on the roof of the Martial Prowess room. And we're not supposed to be able to be in here in the first place because we haven't unlocked Strike Break yet. Okay. So as long as we dodge all the triggers, we death warp and could just go right back to where we were. That was really that's really hard. That's not easy. And it's about to get even harder. Yeah, we can clap for that. That's really sick. Great job.
Thank you.
That's really hard to do under pressure too. So we're gonna get a quick, I can't remember, I think it's a Clear Mind. It might be a Good Graces. I don't remember. I've been playing too much Archipelago. This game has Archipelago support, by the way, if you need another excuse. But we're going to grab a quick power up here, and then we're going to take like the secret entrance from here into Theater. And Theater is like always the hardest part of every run, because it's kind of like, it's not like official, because you can kind of tackle the game in any order, which is one of the beautiful things about the game. But I would argue it's probably the hardest part of the game for every type of player. And there's a tricky strat right here where he's going to divert off to the side and then do it at a very specific angle. Nice. We managed to get that ultra first try, which means we're not going to know exactly where all of these swinging axes are going to be. This is like one of the most like annoying rooms to deal with. But if you get here at the same speed every time, then you never have to worry. That strat is so hard. If you land this, okay, you're sick. Okay, so that is a skip. That skips a major combat encounter, and that is like one of the hardest versions of doing it. That was really sick. So the way that the major key for Theater works is that there are 3 pathways. There's middle, right, and left. And you're supposed to go down these really long platforming challenges in order to get to them. And to hit those levers, you hit all 3 levers, and then it opens up the thingy, right? And so what Killing Pepsi is going to do is we hit the first one by doing that skip we just clapped for. And then second one we did with another out of bounds wall clip. And we're going to go out of bounds here in order to get a upgrade way further on into Theater that would be really annoying to get otherwise. We're just going to be going way up and out of bounds here. There's a lot of great out of bounds geometry to mess around with, even if you're like just like casually interested in messing around with it. We're going to slide into this wall. This is way easier with T-Tech, but Killing Pepsi is being a champ of the people by doing it without the T-Tech. Nice, there we go. So we get a slide jump right there. We're going to do an air kick into a kick cancel so that we can go straight into another wall cling. That's something we'll see a lot, to be able to get longer wall clings off of the same wall. And then we're going to do one more wall cling clip right here. We're going to go ahead and break this. And then we're going to do a really tight air kick sequence to get out of bounds on this side. And there's a Metroidvania upgrade that we're going to get here with a reverse cling kick called Soul Cutter. We hit that in their first try. Nice.
Okay.
That's really hard without T-Tech. So T-Tech makes a lot of the getting back inbounds in this game way easier, but Killing Pepsi doesn't really have the privilege of doing that on the GDQ stuff. So this is my favorite setup in the run. That's the bonk clip. You just drop the gate on top of your head, and you just fall out of bounds. And so now what we're going to do is, instead of death warping, there is one more collectible that we really want to get, and it's you can kind of see that heart piece over there. If you hit this, I'm going to lose my mind. Oh my, yes, let's go. All right, and now we can go in the ceiling, vibe at it, and it'll let us grab the heart piece. And now all 3 of the levers are activated, so we can just go grab the major key last thing. And then there's another small key door that we're gonna go open at the end. The way that this whole route works out for Theater with the early Solar Wind is just so dope. This route is so sick. And then while the door's opening, we can just set up the slide jump so that we can just do an ultra and skip most of that room right there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so right there, that's actually a really difficult technique called reverse wall kicks. I mentioned earlier that wall kicks send you like opposite the direction that you pointed your foot at, but there's a very tight timing where you can actually kick away from the wall while moving towards it. And that sends you straight up instead of up and out. And so we can use that to gain height without straying too far away from the wall. And that's going to be pretty critical for a couple of things. You see it a lot as well. In the late Solar Wind route, it's pretty critical for a couple of things. But there's a cool thing you can do called first person reverse wall kicks, which I don't know if you do that anymore. If you do I think you do the cooler strat now, right?
I don't know how to do first person mode on keyboard.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's interesting. So this is Upper Castle Sansa. Part of the reason we do Theater now is it empties out really well into here. We actually do this, well, not the normal way. We come in here through Out of Bounds and late Solar Wind, but like, We come here first and then like do theater stuff. It's kind of interesting. All right, so this is a really good, yeah, you see how like Sybil just floats all the way up to that ledge? That's what moon kicks looks like. So if you have to, it's a very tight window to get that last wall kick with the moon boots gravity. We're gonna see an ultra right here. That's gonna get us up to here. And those are the reverse wall kicks. Hit all 4 of them first try. That's, again, reverse wall kicks are very, very difficult, so.
They're slightly easier on keyboard than controller. I know controller I can barely
Controller, they're like impossible as a controller player. That's kind of the cool thing too, is either controller or keyboard is viable. They have like different strengths and weaknesses, right? So we're gonna get Pilgrimage here, which allows you to move around while you're healing, but ideally we won't have to heal at all. True. Yeah, so there's actually a small key in here. This is kind of one of the small keys that you're intended to get early to get around. But we're actually able to skip this and skip that in this route. And we'll grab this free heart piece right here. And now we're going into Castle Sansa. So kind of wild that this route saves it for so late. Are you gonna hit this? Nice. Yep. Yeah, so those little attacks, again, that Killing Pepsi is doing are super important because that allows him to grab the ledge without accidentally wall kicking. And so right now we're gonna go grab Strike Break. We were supposed to have this earlier if we wanted to grab Martial Prowess, but between Martial Prowess here as well as Indignation, this mini boss is just going to disappear. And Strike Break is a charge attack that does bonus damage and allows us to break these green walls. There's not too many of these green walls. And in combination with Soul Cutter lets us launch a projectile, but we don't really care about that too much. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a detour back to Underbelly one more time. There's 2 things we left behind. We left behind a heart piece, which is really quick. And then we also left behind the Underbelly major key. And so we're gonna go ahead and grab that. And so normally we're supposed to grab Sunsetter, which is in Sansa Keep, but we can just do a really easy, like, I feel like anyone at home can do that wall clip. It was like one of the first things I learned. It's really easy to do, and you can skip having to use Sunsetter there to ground pound the blocks. And every category has a really cool way of breaking this. You're supposed to have, well, we have Soul Cutter, but you're supposed to hit those big switches over there with Soul Cutter. But every time your Soul Cutter projectile hits something, you lose a bar of Indignation. But instead what we can do is we can do a bunch of wall cling nonsense, jump off of here, and then Death Warp, which is going to put us back at the start of the room. Nicely done. Like I said, every category has like a unique way of doing that, and they all look kind of sick. Hundo's is probably the easiest because having wall clings and wall kicks is really nice. And yeah, so now we're gonna backtrack this way. We're gonna do a slightly harder version of the clip we just did in order to get back through the direction we came. And then we wanna head back to Sansa Keep here. Another example of moon kicks right there to get to the entrance a little bit quicker, nicely done. And then we're gonna do a little bit more cleanup in Sansa Keep here. So there's only, like, Sansa Keep is kind of like the final major area that we haven't truly cleaned up yet. And we're gonna take a safety save as well here because we are going to be seeing, for the first time in a while, Keep Key Skip. Which we haven't seen this version on the GDQ stage yet. We're going to be attempting to clip out of bounds and skip a really long platforming section. This requires a very funky angle, and it's input method dependent, so keyboard and controller have different setups for making this work. Because on keyboard, you don't have, like, 360 degrees of rotation. You have 8 directions, right? This is very difficult, so this may take a couple of tries, but this saves like a minute, so it's very worth it to go for this. It's noted here, too, that you also have, the fast way to do this is to do these reverse wall kicks as well, which also makes this really difficult. Okay, that's the first part. And so now we're going to vibe it here. We're going to pop through. We're not done yet. We got to the part with the key, but now we need to do, because the gate is closed behind us, we need to clip back out of bounds. Most people believe this wall cling input to be a frame perfect. First, okay, I'll shut up. I promise you that wall cling kit is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
It sucks. All right, so we're gonna be doing an ultra here. This is like an area where you can kind of use a small key as a shortcut to get here, but if you come this way with all of our movement tools, you just don't even have to bother with the small key. So there's basically 2 small keys we skip. There's one literally right over there that we skip, as well as the one we were talking about earlier. So this is a relatively new wall clip. We're gonna be doing this and then vibing through the ceiling to get to Sunsetter. That trick just looks so swag. It's a tiny little time saver, but it's hype. And we'll see if we get the ultra out of this menu here. Nice! Oh, in the basket, swish, nice. That's also really hard. This is like one of those things where I'm like trying to explain that this game is like really, really hard, but like Killing Pepsi is just nailing everything. Like this run's going really, really well. All right, so right here we're going to be doing an ultra. There's basically 2 more major collectibles we got to get that aren't the final major key. There's this aspect of Clear Mind, which is going to allow us, with all 3 pieces of the Triforce, to have a 4th charge of our meter, which will be really nice for the final boss because it allows us to actually throw Soul Cutter into the boss without sacrificing level 3 indignation. That's the last heart piece of the run. You can see there's just like an extra shard right there. That's the number 16. And now we're going to backtrack the Tower Remains because the game ending as well as the final major key are both up there. We're going to do a big slide ultra and then do a kick redirect, another ultra right here, slide jump over this, and then a pretty tight bunny hop to be able to maintain speed. And jump positioning is another big thing too. It's not only a matter of how fast you're going, but also where you're going to land and judging like on the fly what micro adjustments you're going to have to make positionally in order to make some of those gaps. And that bridge into Tower Remains is probably the most clear example of that. All right, so we're going to take this crystal for safety here, just because there's a weird glitch that can happen sometimes going into the boss. We're going to do a Sunset or Ground Pound. We saved that one for last just because of the way that this works out. Yeah, and we use something called the backflip there from Sunsetter to get the rest of the way up. And then we're going to skip the Cling Gem tutorial getting up to the pole just like that. Nicely done. That's a pretty tricky too. Not as crazy as like Keep Key, but still really tough. So that's the last major key. So that means we'll double check at the end as well, but that should mean that we've 100%ed everything. And now we're going to be headed into the final boss here.
Just going to take a second here.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to be safe. There's a rare glitch that can happen where you lose like vision on this cutscene. So we're going to watch through the cutscene even though it's a couple seconds slower. So now we are going to go ahead and head through the door and we're going into the princess fight. So the way that in Hundo the princess fight works is we are like in mid-air, we're going to be going for heavy charge attacks with Strike Break, trying to avoid using the projectile. So she starts the fight in mid-air, so you can actually get up to 2 hits on her mid-air if you choose to go for it. But there's a risk-reward to it because it messes with her AI if you hit her early. And then there's different attacks that you can get here. So yeah, you can see on the ground that our general kind of game plan, jump heavy attack into the Sunsetter Ground Pound. And you saw right there that Killing Pepsi made a call right there because, so that chime is halfway. So time is going to be on final hit. I'm not even going to have time to explain the fight. Get ready on time.
Yeah.
Time. Holy crap. Ooh. That was a really dang good princess fight. 26-45.
Nice.
That's crazy. To give you all context, Killing Pepsi just got a low 25. So, or no, like just under sub 25 now, right?
Yeah, 24-40 something.
24-47. So that's really good for how hard this game is real time. So Killing Pepsi is just going to go in real quick just to double check.
We did it.
10 upgrades. We got everything. We got Hundo. We're so back. I was so stinking good. You did a great job, dude.
Thank you. Oh yeah, shoutouts. I would not be doing this route without the strong shoulders and backs of all those who came before me in the run. I want to give a shout out to Bimbo Cat Girl, Nova Bunny, Tanks, Michael K, Yashi. Shoutouts to Oven. The anniversary is today. And Thulius and jaxler, of course. They really helped out the ride a lot and kind of solidified it and made it what it is today. So thank you.
Yeah. I'll just say as well, if you have any interest in running this game, the Pseudoregalia like dev community Discord is also where the speedrunning Discord is at. There's a lot of good resources there. There's also a bunch of really good movement tutorials on YouTube. Look up the name WillBun84 on YouTube and you should be able to find it. But if you have any questions as well, feel free to reach out to us as well. All right. Thank you all so much for having the 2 of us. That was a lot of fun. Enjoy the rest of the event packs. Thank you so much for being here in person. Let's go.
All right, great job by Killing Pepsi. Everyone be sure to check out twitch.tv/KillingPepsi.